Hey folks, welcome to Osquery Office Hours, April 8th, 2025. And we're trying to get a release out. I think that's probably the big thing to put into announcements. And we could talk more about it further on, but I think there are a couple of CI and build issues that that are probably holding that up slightly at the moment.
We should also discuss possibly a new time or rescheduling office hours so that more people can make it.
And that is on the agenda as well. Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's just go in the order of the agenda. So first we've got questions, issues, PRs, and I see Constantine joined and added something to the agenda. So Constantine, take it away.
Yeah. I have two PRs open right now, both against the programs table for Windows. And we're looking to test this in the context of the Fleet application. And our typical process is usually to build this binary on one of the Windows VMs that I'm using to develop, and then package this binary and kind of ship it in a local version of Fleet. I was just curious, it might simplify the process if I could generate a release on my fork of Osquery. I don't know if that's possible, but I was also curious, is there I'm assuming you guys have a pre-built command that builds a release, or is that a little more complicated than I think?
It is a bit complicated.
It also depends on the platform. So for Linux is a lot easier, but for Mac OS you would need to code sign and other things similar for Windows. So it's doable for sure, but it's not just one command.
Something that comes to mind for me is I've noticed, and I don't know if someone changed something on this recently, but I've noticed that CI jobs now upload artifacts. Maybe they always have, and I'm only just noticing that. I don't know if you have to be a committer to get access to those artifacts.
I did notice that. So that makes it a lot easier because I can easily just use those instead of using a Windows VM. But I guess the easiest path would have been to generate a release because that's the least amount of code. But if that's too tricky, then a binary is just fine. I think it's it's a couple changes in the code that we have to pull a release versus a couple changes in dropping the pre-built binary and using it and telling it to use that rather. So if it's too challenging for a release, then I'll just skip it and we'll use the current approach that we have.
I think that likely the best approach is for you to use the binaries, Constantine. And it sounds like you do have access to those.
Yes. Yeah, I could click on those links.
Okay, great. Okay, good. I wasn't sure if that required any sort of special permissions.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it does. We're just testing those two PRs. And it looks like I can just download them right off of.
Nice.
Yeah, and it downloads the zip. So it's unsigned, but that's fine. I don't need a signed version of it.
Yep. Yeah, and then for testing with Fleet, I mean this is fairly Fleet specific, but for testing with Fleet, you can either just run Osquery directly using the plain Osquery commands for connecting to Fleet, or you might have to sort of manually move that binary into place for Orbit to pick it up if you want to use it full Orbit. Or even more complex, you can run your own local update server for development.
That's what I was doing, running my own local update server. That's why pointing it to a release was easier, because it just pulls everything and it goes and creates everything seamlessly. But you're totally right. I use the pre-built binary in Orbit, and then I just use that rather than an update server. So
Yeah, so what you could totally do is just disable updates in Orbit, move that binary into place, and that'll be a little bit easier. Yeah, that's
perfect.
probably what I'd do.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good to hear.
yeah, for sure. Cool. Is this IntelliJ from you, Constantine?
Yeah, those two are for me. Sorry, probably should have prefixed that with my name.
No, no worries.
It's been a while to get this prioritized, but it finally got it prioritized, and I'm going to be creating a new table. I decided to make a generic JetBrains IDE plugins is the proposed name that I had, because IntelliJ is one of their tools, but I'm assuming as soon as we open up the floodgates for IntelliJ, everyone will be like, what about Golang, and what about RubyMine, and what about etc. So I figured I was going to get some feedback on the name for that, because naming is not my forte. But does that seem like a reasonable sort of abstraction?
Yeah, I might call it just JetBrains plugins.
Okay.
Do they really?
I would
I'm not
agree,
really sure. Like, does
because-
JetBrains make things other than IDEs?
No, I think like we should follow the convention. It's called VS Code plugins or VS Code whatever. So we should call it JetBrains, and most people know JetBrains as the IDE company. So
Done.
Yeah, and Constantine, when thinking about that, for example, is it the Chrome extensions, which has like a browser type column? So you could look at that one for an example where the Chrome extensions table actually shows Chrome, Chromium, Opera, Yandex, Brave, Edge, all of those. So it would be probably similar for this JetBrains.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I see the browser type. Okay, cool. Yeah. I'll definitely check that, because that's exactly what I want to do with JetBrains, like Golang, IntelliJ.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Brock.
I'm just here to listen in. I don't really have anything important.
All right. Talking about rescheduling office hours. So yeah, Seth, who's an important participant in office hours, hasn't been able to make it for quite a while, says he doesn't think that he will be able to. Constantine also said this is a tough time for him. Could folks do Wednesdays at the same time?
Wednesday, same time works for me. Wednesday an hour before also works, in case people need multiple options, or Tuesday hour before also works, but I'd prefer Wednesday over Thursday. So, but again,
Okay.
Stefano, Sandra, I don't know where other folks are.
No, it works. It works for me. And if it's Wednesday, yeah, 1 hour earlier is fine too. Yep.
For me, same time would be good. Like Charvel, this is quite late for you, huh?
I'm already used to it, so this is midday for me.
Stefano, any idea? I don't know if you can like see Alessandra's calendar or anything to know, but any idea if that might work for Alessandro?
He doesn't have. Yeah, it should work for him too.
Okay.
All right. Does it work for Seth though?
Yes, Seth.
Okay,
I asked Seth in Slack. He says it does work for him. So okay, so let's try that. So I would say going forward, let's, instead of 2 weeks from today, let's do 2 weeks and 1 day from today to move it to Wednesdays, and we'll just see how that works. Someone needs to update
Yeah,
Calendar.
I probably have to do it. So just to clarify, you said so today is April 8th. We are targeting so already the 23rd, or
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
the 23rd.
okay, yeah,
So just instead of the 22nd, the 23rd.
sure. Let me change it right now.
Yeah, so I'm just like organizer. Organizer. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, right. I see you're the organizer, Stefano. So awesome. Thank you for doing that. I could go and update the like reminder message in the office hours channel.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That um okay, I did the general message in the channel. Okay, and I'll just send a message to the channel. I'm not sure about this reminder message. I think to time it right, it might need to actually be done on that day, or I'll have to figure out how to edit reminders. I can take that on.
Okay, it should have gone through.
Thank you. Okay, great. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. And okay, cool. Awesome. It'll be great to get Seth coming back. Next on the agenda, I added this there. I must have updated my Mac, and now my build is broken. It's not actually all sorted out yet. This is why I was just kicking off the build before this meeting. It seems like the zlib issue that I ran into is fixed by updating zlib to 1.3.1. I haven't tested like the entire thing yet, because then I found that it looks like there's a boost build error as well with the new SDK. I think the issue is because it updated to Clang 16, as far as I could tell.
17.
Clang 17, okay. There's some related looking issues that I found while searching for this, but haven't started digging yet and haven't really checked whether there's an easy way to fix this boost build issue. It seems like CI is still working because the SDK hasn't been updated there, I guess. I don't know how long we'll have until then.
Is that unrelated to this, but is that build failure still happening on master with that one?
The MD fine test, yes, which Stefano, thank you for reviewing and helping out there while I kind of flailed around with that. I tried your suggestion. Why did it cancel the jobs or something? I think we might, hopefully, with your suggestion, Stefano, we are ready to merge that fix, and then people can rebase or merge their PRs to get CI working again. So for those who aren't familiar, the MD find integration test started failing on master and also on almost all the PRs. It seems like probably GitHub like turned off Spotlight indexing on the CI runners would be my best guess. Hard to tell for certain. I have been sort of flailing away at finding a workaround for that because, well, partly because my local build is broken at the moment. So I'm having to wait for the builds to run on
So
CI.
that's being used to what? Like check for the presence of a bunch of stuff on the builder, on the runner?
Yeah, the integration test verifies that when you query the MD-find table for looking for .apps, that it finds some. And it doesn't find any because MD-find or because like the indexing seems to be disabled. So, which I think probably makes sense. Like, why use those resources on CI machines when people are not going to be using Spotlight generally on a CI machine? So I could understand why GitHub did that, but that catches our test.
I don't know. I mean, I think so many people are, because the results of the Spotlight searching is so fast. I think that so many people use it that it seems like not a good idea to disable it by default. But what?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, okay. Now I see why my the issues are just stacking. There is a Ubuntu 20 runner brownout happening right now. So the check code style request fails. So all of the other checks are not running. So, okay, so I'll put in, I can put in another PR to update the Ubuntu runner versions. We're going to have like a couple of things to stack on each other to get through this.
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple of time when I was in the past when I was fixing CI things, unfortunately, they get stuck. Yeah.
So yes, I think we've got a fix now for the MD-find issue. Once we can merge that, then people will be able to rebase onto that, and or merge that into their branches, and then CI should start passing everywhere. There are some PRs that are ready to go besides for CI not passing that I would like to see get into the release. So I think we're kind of on hold for the release due to that. But yes, but then we have this local build issue. Which I will file an issue with the errors that I observe on those, and see if there's a simple way to update. I would imagine that Boost has probably already updated their code to fix this, but I know that us updating Boost becomes a pretty non-trivial update. I wonder if Stefano, other thoughts, ideas on something that we should do rather than trying to update Boost itself?
I think we can also try and pin an older SDK, because we can still like release it with an older SDK, but it would run on 15.4. That used to be possible with the GitHub YAML file about the macOS runner. Because 15.4 has also broken a bunch of other things like not related to Osquery, like LLDB is broken and a bunch of other things. Yeah.
They changed the rsync binary. I don't know if you guys are doing anything with that, but that's another one that got
I had
whacked.
seen they moved to open rsync. No, I don't think that we're doing anything with that. Charvel, is there
I'm trying to take a look at that, either GitHub's documentation or our own history might have it. With
Is
the
there like
runners.
an option I can use in CMake to tell it what macOS SDK to use? Can I have more than one installed at the
You
same
can
time?
have more than one installed. You have to use Xcode select and then select the
There's
which one's current. Xcode hyphen select and then you know,
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, so to fix my local build, I might be able to just revert then.
yeah.
And then hopefully we have a little bit of time before GitHub updates and starts breaking our CI builds.
Did you do a separate update of your like Apple, like developer, like the Xcode developer tools? Did it prompt you for that?
I did not intentionally. I think after the build broke, I attempted something thinking I don't know, maybe if I just, occasionally sometimes when you do this, it just fixes things magically. So I did try that and it didn't
Okay.
help.
For example, I've like highlighted the line here that we can change, and depending on what GitHub also has available on disk, and usually they do keep an older one around. I've used that trick in the past because
Okay, cool.
So that line 669 to line 686, you can kind of run through it.
Okay.
I put it in the chat.
Okay, cool. Any other thoughts about this that folks would like to share?
The only thing I would say is that the other trick that I've seen people do is actually move the Xcode app bundle out. Like what that little snippet of code makes it seem like you shouldn't have to do that. But I have seen developers like to try and roll back. They take the one they want to keep that's newer, they put an older one in place, and they just kind of,
Yeah.
by virtue of it not being in applications, it kind of uses the right
Okay,
one.
I see. So that might be sort of I hear you. It's like sort of the equivalent of what's being done with what Charvel linked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I will try some of these things because kind of my top priority right now is getting this Osquery release out. So I don't think we don't need to necessarily fix this immediately because it's working in CI. But it is, if I can find an easy way to fix this for my local build, that will definitely help speed me up to doing the other things I'm trying to do. Awesome.
I have to go a little bit early, but I don't know if it was anybody on this call. I just wanted to say thank you to you guys to Osquery for working on the those power and I forget which ones. It was like temperature sensors and CPU and power, like all that stuff got fixed in the reporting now, and customers are very excited about that stuff. So thanks for working on it. See,
One last thing about the release, about that endpoint security PR. I have reviewed it. I would love to get that in, but the way it's currently implemented is not the way I think. And the original author hasn't responded. I think Seth also gave a few pointers.
Okay.
So I don't think it would make it in this release.
Okay.
I tested it locally. There are also some performance issues which subscribing to every event causes, and hence the need for a new ES client. But that would also impact current customers and people who use ES process events and ESFIM tables. So
Okay. So it sounds like that definitely needs to get addressed. Personally, I have no problem with like doing another release soon if we get some exciting stuff and like security. And I also have more stuff that I'd like to be shipping soon as well. So
because there's a new TCC event that made it in 15.4 headers, which would be kind of nice to get that in. So whenever a process or an app requests changes to their TCC permissions, it gets logged as an event and we get it basically.
anything else about the release that people want to mention?
I was hoping to get the programs table stuff in there too, because there's been a lot of pressure from clients to
Definitely.
get in there, which is unfortunate, but they're mostly done, I think.
Yeah, if I remember, I think they're pretty much are done, and we're just waiting on like we need to fix up CI to get them merged. Yeah. So my intention is to get CI fixed as soon as possible, and then ask you and anyone else who has PRs that are ready to go to rebase, and then we should be able to get them in.
Thank you. Let me know if I can help with the CI at all.
I think, well, so we got to deal with the brownout, but that should actually be easy. I think, hopefully, fingers crossed. And then I think that Stefano helped me get it there with fixing the MD fine. So it seems like in the next couple hours, we should actually have that sorted. Yeah. Stefano, Charvel, if either of you can just keep an eye out for, I'll put in a PR for the Ubuntu runner. That would be helpful to get a quick approval on that, so we can get that going, then rebase the MD find onto that or merge, and then get the MD find one in, and then get all the rest of the stuff in. That'd be sweet. Something else. Something else I wanted to mention is we just had this pointed out by a customer that on Windows, if you use the process monitor from the Sysmon folks, it shows, and it won't let me upload this file because it's too big. Let me see if I can get the file size down. It shows that there are all these 2-byte reads of the file, which seems pretty weird. It's not really in our code directly. It's in like OpenSSL code that we call, or it's in first in like the boost ASIO and then in OpenSSL code that we call. And I'm wondering if anyone has like seen this kind of stuff before, has any idea about that. Okay, I think I'm going to be able to upload it now.
Do we use OpenSSL for Windows? I thought we used the Wintrust or I don't think we use OpenSSL on Windows for parsing certificates, because otherwise that would show up for Linux as well.
Possibly it does happen on Linux, but we don't know. Or possibly it's something weird about the implementation.
No,
on Windows.
I don't think we use OpenSSL on Windows to parse certificates. I
Okay.
could be wrong, but as far as I
Let me. Ah, here, let me link the investigation that was done by one of our engineers. Okay, I've linked that. So
yeah, we
this
don't
is
use OpenSSL. We use WinCrypt.
well. So you're talking about the certificates table.
Yeah,
Oh, but what we're talking about here is like the Osquery HTTP client that's
got
used
it.
for like the remote
that
plugins.
that does use. Yeah, okay, makes sense.
Yeah. It's not, it doesn't like, it looks, when you look through this code, it doesn't seem, and definitely check the link that I just pasted there into the agenda. I can also put it in the chat here. Yeah. It looks like we're using the code correctly. I know that is also currently an open PR to update OpenSSL, which I might just like try building that on Windows and see if that fixes any issues. It's also not clear that this is even wrong, but it seems weird.
I mean, that certificate is fully and completely handled by OpenSSL itself. So, like
Right.
we only pass the file to OpenSSL. That OpenSSL does is
Right.
yeah. I guess
Yeah.
I'm saying I have no idea. It does sound weird that it goes in 2 bytes increments, but
Yeah.
yeah, not sure what it's trying to pass there.
Okay. Yeah, well, thanks, y'all. I think the first thing that I will try is just building with the new OpenSSL, and maybe we get lucky and that just fixes it. Otherwise, we might have to try to understand if there's a reason, if it's being misreported, or if it's we actually it makes sense to read it 2 bytes at a time or something, or I don't know.
I mean, also how many bytes are read 2 bytes at a time. I know it is still weird, but again, maybe it is scanning a little inside.
It seems to be like hundreds or thousands of calls to the read file system call. So it seems pretty weird. At the same time, like this is something that was reported to Fleet by a customer, and they were like uncertain of any real performance impact. They had just noticed it in Proc 1. So also just hard to say. But I think that I'll probably file an issue in Osquery linking to it, and then we'll have that investigation, link there. and linked to the fairly fun fleet as well. Anything else that anyone wants to talk about while we're here? All right, great. Well, thanks for going through all those things. I'll put in a PR, I think in the next few minutes to update the Ubuntu runners. So, Charles or Stefano, if one of you could pop an approval onto that, that'd be great. I'll merge it if and when CI passes. And then we'll go through the cascade of things that need to happen to get the release out. Sweet. Thanks everyone so much for being here, and we'll see you in 15 days on Wednesday, April 23rd.
Thanks all.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.